My name is Amanda, and I'm 28 years old. I've been married to Tom for 2 years. We met in college, and while Tom now works in a corporate job, I chose a different path after graduation. I make a living by investing in stocks and trading foreign currencies. Although I've found success in this unconventional career, my parents frequently urge me to find a real job. Tom, however, understands and supports my choices completely. We've been together since university, and he's always been my confidant, especially since he's not exactly a social butterfly either. My family, including my younger sister, doesn't quite understand me, so we don't see each other as often as we used to. Tom's family consists of his parents and his older brother, Jeff. When we visited them to announce our marriage, they were curious about my job. Tom defended me, saying, "Amanda is doing what she loves, and that's all that matters." Jeff, in particular, kept pressing about my work. Annoyed, I told him I was a part-timer. Jeff scoffed and said, "You should have just said that. A lot of college grads are struggling to find stable jobs these days." Though his attitude was grating, I chose not to let it bother me because my focus was on marrying Tom, not Jeff. Tom kept apologizing for his brother's behavior, but having him by my side was what mattered most to me. Jeff, who is an associate professor at a university, has a tendency to belittle others. I feel sorry for his students. Now, Jeff is getting married, and Tom and I are invited to the wedding. The bride is the daughter of the university president where Jeff works, which will undoubtedly secure Jeff's future. At the wedding, Jeff continued his mockery. "It's embarrassing to have a part-timer as a sister-in-law," he said. I didn't get the full impact of his words until I noticed that my name was the only one left blank in the wedding directory. Tom was ready to confront Jeff, but I told him not to worry about it. "I don't mind, so don't start a fight over it," I said. Jeff, smirking, added, "That's right, a part-timer should keep a low profile. Don't ruin this celebration." He even instructed us not to serve drinks to the guests, fearing they might ask about my job. "Just sit quietly," he said triumphantly, leaving us behind. Tom was visibly upset. "I'm so sorry, my brother has been incredibly rude," Tom said, near tears. I found myself apologizing too. "I should be the one saying sorry. I didn't mean for you to be upset because of me," I said. Seeing my apology, Tom finally managed a smile. That day, neither of us felt much like celebrating. Jeff and his wife seemed content to simply enjoy the extravagant food, and we did too. The gifts were lavish, but when we opened ours at home, we were stunned. Inside was a bowl featuring a portrait of Jeff and his wife. Even Tom was exasperated. "This is the last thing we need. I don't want to see my brother's face, but we can't just throw it away, and it's not something we can use." I quickly thought of a solution. "It's the perfect size for a cat's dish. Can we use it for the cat's food? Would that be disrespectful to your brother?" Tom laughed and replied, "It's perfect for the cat's food." The idea of my brother and his wife being licked by the cat every day is actually quite refreshing. With Tom's approval, the gift bowl became our cat's new dish. A month later, I found myself visiting the university where Jeff worked. I dreaded the possibility of running into him but hoped I'd be safe since I was headed to a different department on a large campus. Of course, fate had other plans, and I bumped into Jeff almost immediately. He looked surprised to see me. I quickly averted my gaze and pretended not to notice him, but Jeff approached me, his voice rising. "What the hell are you doing here? I'm calling the police for trespassing." His loud declaration drew a crowd of students. In front of the gathering, Jeff began mocking me. "What's a deadbeat like you doing here? Came for a cheap lunch at the cafeteria?" I fell silent, feeling the sting of embarrassment as he continued. "This woman is a part-timer even after graduating from college. If you don't study hard, you'll end up like her." I could see the students giggling, and my eyes stung with tears. Just then, a voice cut through Jeff's tirade. Turning around, I saw a familiar professor who was clearly annoyed. "What's going on here?" "She's my invited guest," the professor said firmly. Jeff was momentarily caught off guard but quickly retorted, "There must be a mistake. This girl is just a part-timer." Another professor, who had arrived late and knew the context, intervened. "She's not a part-timer. She's a research collaborator in the economics department." Despite this correction, Jeff remained unconvinced, his arrogance evident since his marriage to the president's daughter. The professor who had invited me, realizing that further argument was futile, took my hand and guided me away from the commotion. As I left, The students dispersed, though Jeff followed us, barging into the room where I was taken. Even in the presence of senior professors, Jeff persisted in ridiculing me. What's this about? She's a part-timer, right? Don't let her wander around the university. The senior professors in the room grew visibly uncomfortable. One of them ushered Jeff out, whispering to Tom, "Your career is over, Jeff." Despite the threat, Jeff seemed unfazed, bolstered by his connection with the president. At that moment, the president entered the room and immediately apologized to me. "I am deeply sorry. Our associate professor has spoken out of line. Please accept my apologies on his behalf," the president said. The other professors also extended their apologies. Though I masked my fury with a composed demeanor, I was seething inside. I hadn't anticipated meeting the president that day, but his unexpected appearance was a small consolation amidst the chaos. I was conducting research with the economics department at the University on financial engineering, specifically testing the validity of the theory I use for my stock and forex investments. Since my university days, I've been applying a unique theory to my financial transactions. Over time, as my investment performance caught the eye of a professor I'd connected with on social media, he invited me to collaborate on research at the university. This collaboration has been mutually beneficial, and I visit the university a few times each month to review our findings. I hadn't realized this was the same university where Jeff worked until his wedding. When I saw the guest list and recognized the name of the bride's father, it became clear that he was the university president. Despite the presence of many university-affiliated guests, my name had been removed from the list, and I had been instructed not to serve drinks. Given the scale of the wedding, it seemed unlikely anyone would notice someone like me. The panic from the president and professors stemmed from my role as a major donor to the university. Since beginning my research collaboration, my investment success has led me to make significant annual donations. The theories I am researching are also being used by hedge funds and international investors, contributing further to the university's funding. As a private institution, these contributions are crucial, and any dissatisfaction from me could have serious repercussions for the university's finances and operations. On that day, with apologies flowing from the president and professors, no real resolution was reached. As I was leaving, I addressed the president directly. "Your associate professor, Jeff, is my brother-in-law. Did you know that?" This revelation surprised everyone, making it clear that they hadn't connected the dots before. I also expressed my frustration. Jeff's continual mockery and unprofessional behavior were troubling, especially given his position as an educator. My outburst, though uncharacteristic of me, was driven by genuine anger. Looking back, I'm both embarrassed and impressed by my unexpected boldness. My confrontation seemed to escalate tensions within the university. Jeff's behavior, already criticized for its arrogance and poor treatment of superiors, became a growing issue. His appointment as an associate professor was widely seen as a favor due to his relationship with the president's daughter, leading to criticism of both Jeff and the president. While the president had defended Jeff for his daughter's sake, he faced criticism himself if his support jeopardized his position. Unaware of this growing discontent, Jeff continued to belittle me whenever I visited the university. "Back again? Just because you're friendly with the economics professors doesn't mean you can get cocky," Jeff sneered. His rude remarks made me question the direction of the university under the president's leadership. The fact that such an arrogant man was allowed to behave this way without reprimand was troubling. I started to seriously consider ending my research collaboration with the university. It was disheartening to be mocked every time I visited, making the whole endeavor feel like a waste of time. Lost in my thoughts, I barely registered Jeff's rant until he shouted, "Hey, are you even listening? Are you so stupid you can't even pay attention?" Suddenly, a commanding voice cut through the tension. "Jeff, you are the fool." It was the president, and even my overbearing brother-in-law froze in his tracks. I couldn't help but laugh at the sight. Jeff's glare was silenced by the president's harsh words. "After today, you're no longer part of this university. Pack up and leave immediately." Jeff stared blankly at the president and then, with a casual tone, said, "Father-in-law, what's going on? Are you trying to surprise me?" The president, now livid, retorted, "You have no right to call me your father-in-law. I want you to divorce my daughter as well." At that moment, a young woman and a man in a suit appeared. The woman, Jeff's wife, spoke firmly. "I had a lawyer investigate you, and they found these photos." The man in the suit produced several images of Jeff arm in arm with an unfamiliar woman. Jeff's wife continued, "It's divorce. Just as Dad said. You were just using him, weren't you? You never truly loved me." Jeff, panicking, began to apologize. "I won't cheat again. Please forgive me." It was almost satisfying to see him squirm. He then directed his frustration at me. "What are you looking at? You're just a part-timer. This is none of your business. Get out, now." The president defended me. "You always shout part-timer at Amanda, but she's a skilled investor. She's working on joint research with our economics department and makes generous donations. She's far more valuable than you'll ever be." Jeff seemed to finally accept the president's words and begrudgingly apologized to me. I had a strong feeling the president had orchestrated this whole event to force Jeff into apologizing. Seeing Jeff grovel in despair was quite a relief. As I prepared to leave, the lawyer explained the details of the property division. At home, I shared the news of Jeff's apology and affair with Tom. Tom, who knew how much I despised Jeff, was genuinely pleased. "Damn, I wish I could have seen him like that," he said. "Why didn't you take a picture?" We both laughed heartily. I also had some exciting news to share with Tom. "Guess what? It looks like I'm pregnant." Tom was overjoyed. I had suspected as much after feeling unwell and confirmed it with the OBGYN. As I drove home, I felt a pang of guilt for the president, who had orchestrated Jeff's public comeuppance. I decided to pause my collaboration with the university for the time being. Bob, who seemed disappointed, agreed to wait until I finished with child rearing. Later, I casually asked Bob about Jeff's situation. He told me that Jeff, now officially divorced, was unemployed and struggling to find new work. His arrogance had evidently caught up with him, leaving him jobless. I also noticed that the photos of the cheap gifts we had used as cat dishes had disappeared. Whether it was due to their use as cat dishes or the divorce, the couple's photos were no longer around.